Everybody ready? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 20th meeting of the Amherst Town Planning Board. The members up here are volunteers. We're appointed by the town board. We make final decisions on site plans and subdivisions. We are advisory only on rezonings and comprehensive plan amendments, making recommendations to the town board. The town board, they're the elected officials, and they receive recommendations from us on this board and make final decisions on rezoning, comp plan amendments, and zoning text amendments. And I've been asked to substitute for our very effective chairman tonight, and so be patient with me a little bit. Okay, here are the procedures and the ground rules for the public hearings that we'll have tonight. The petitioner will be given a chance to present to the board on the agenda item. We will then question the petitioner, and then we will ask the public if they have any comments or questions. And we would ask that if you're going to comment on what you've just heard, please line up over here. And before you speak, there's a sign-up sheet over there. And so please provide the information requested, your name and address, and then you will state your name and address to the board. And let's see, there's a laser pointer over there. This is the screen that we would ask you to use with the laser pointer. There are a couple items later in the agenda that are listed under unfinished business. They will not have public hearings. The ground rules, the petitioner will be given 15 minutes to present their petition, and anybody from the neighborhood or residents wish to speak on it, their first person who speaks will be considered their spokesperson and will be allowed up to 15 minutes. Any individual speakers after that will be given 3 minutes, and I believe there's a bell behind me. We'll go off at the 15-minute and 3-minute mark. And I think that's about it. So get ready to go ahead with item number 1. Roll call. See, I know it.
Davis.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
O'Rourke.
Here.
Raphael.
Here. Don't forget to approve the minutes before item 1.
Didn't we do that at the end last time? Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion? Is everybody read the minutes? And there's,
To approve.
okay. Okay, we have a move to approve in a second.
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy. Yes. Raphael.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, just want to remind all members to turn on their mic so that we can get a good audio recording.
Thank you. Okay. So we're ready to go with item number 1, which is the proposed place of worship development at 2345 North French Road.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recuse myself from item number 1.
Stand.
I am associated with the petitioner's
Okay.
organization.
All right, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, represented by Andy Marino from Trito Engineers.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Andrew Marino from Trito Engineers, representing Troutman Associates and the Gurdwara, a redevelopment of the current Gurdwara, which is on site. It is a existing 2-story frame residence which has a parking lot, 32 cars. We're proposing a new facility, parking for 34 cars in replacement of the frame house. The facility is roughly 69,000 square feet, one story. It is, again, supported by a driveway off of Hopkins. There's an existing driveway off Hopkins, which we're relocating, and there's an existing driveway from North French, which we are eliminating at the recommendation of Erie County Department of Public Works. We're here to answer any questions that may have come up. Since I've resubmitted drawings late last week, I haven't received all the department reviews, but the ones I did receive were all approved. A couple small conditions about details. Other than that, we're here to answer any questions that might come from the board for operations or otherwise.
Before we ask the question, can you confirm the square footage that you just said? I might have heard it wrong.
I believe it's about 6,900 square feet.
Okay. All right, that, I heard it differently, so, very good, thank you. John, do you have any questions?
How large is the existing structure?
It's a two-story frame residence. It's got 4 bedrooms. I don't know the exact square footage. It has a basement, which is going to be completely demolished.
There was a time that they had done an addition onto that, correct?
I'm not aware of that.
That's all I had.
Questions?
What's your total occupancy expected for the structure?
The occupancy is based on the number of seats in the worship hall, which is 96 occupants, I believe. Capacity for 96.
So you have occupants for 96 and parking for 34.
That's correct. Based on the metric for a house of worship, 1 space for every 3 seats. There are no seats, however, there are spaces available.
Where are the available spaces that you speak of? In the 34, that's in the calculation?
34 would be per the calculation. One per every 3.
Okay. So that'd be 1 seat for every person in the facility that's in the hall.
In the worship
But
hall.
you'd have adjunct people as well supporting the hall?
Nope, they are the same individuals.
Okay. No further questions?
Okay. All right, and to clarify, you're going from 32 spaces to 34?
That's correct.
All righty, if nobody has any further questions, I invite the public, anybody who wishes to address this request, please come forward and speak.
Good evening, Board.
Could you sign in, please?
Sure,
and then-
I already have.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
thank
in
you.
advance. My name is Mark Basehart. I live at 2365 North French Road in Amherst, 14051. My property is directly to the east of this property, and this sounds like a classic case of not in my backyard. I know there are neighbors directly to the west and directly to the south here at Tenet as well. Maybe there are more. My wife and I have been residents of Amherst for the last 30 years. We worked very hard to move into East Amherst to enjoy what we thought was going to be a residential neighborhood surrounded by woods and fairly quiet neighborhood. Unfortunately, this property may in fact jeopardize that. It affects the quality of life, one with privacy. I've seen 2 plans listed on the site, one with a 3-foot fence and one with a 6-foot fence. I'm not sure which is the property plan going forward. That is going to be an issue potentially. With the garbage dump, just several yards from our property, right next to a 3-foot fence or a 6-foot fence. 2, lighting to accommodate a 34-spot parking lot will be an issue. Our property is just yards away from this existing property. I'm concerned of other quality of life issues as well. Noise. I'm concerned about traffic patterns. Can you imagine making a left turn onto the Hopkins driveway from the north? There is a single lane road there. Can you also imagine turning left onto Hopkins Road from off of North French? the kind of traffic pattern and traffic problems that that would cause. There have been maintenance issues for this property over the last 4 years that my wife and I have lived there. I'm not going to speak to the quality and the character of the residents, but I will speak to some of the maintenance issues. I have cut their lawn on a number of occasions because it has been substandard as far as East Amherst is concerned. There are cars sitting with missing plates in the driveway and have been for quite some time. There are power tools, lawnmowers, and computers sitting behind a shed, again, yards from our property, that I have not addressed directly. Again, I do not want to speak or imply to the character of the residents and the people that are replying. But again, I think about the fact that my wife and I thought we were moving into quality A, and in fact, I worry about this becoming quality B. And while it may be a one-story functional plan, there is a planned 28-foot parapet or minaret, forgive me if I don't have the architectural terms correct, that is going to be a shadow. And it will turn the corner of North French and Hopkins into something that is uncharacteristic of the residential neighborhood. So the one-floor planned worship meeting house is wonderful. But when we have an additional non-functional but still 28-foot tower, along with other minarets and parapets, I just question again the character impact this will have on the residential neighborhood. And again, I want to emphasize, I am not questioning the character of the people involved. I am simply questioning the impact it will have on the quality of life, the character of the neighborhood, and other quality of life issues. And to cap this off, I can only imagine what this will do to property value, specifically to the 3 neighbors who are directly affected. And I know they're all represented. I know they're all here this evening. You know, this will definitely decrease the number of buyers interested in the property, which would decrease demand, which would decrease price, just basic economics. And not that we're planning on selling. That's not why we moved in. But this certainly will definitely have an impact on the quality of life as well as the economics of the area, specifically the neighbors and any potential resale value. So thank you. While I went first, I do not consider myself a spokesperson, but I understand there's a protocol to follow. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rich Wainwright. I live on Hopkins Road, pretty close to across the street from this property, and I've been kept quiet for as many years as I lived here because the people don't bother me at all. But this new construction of a 6,000 square foot building in a residential lot that is currently has a 1,500 square foot ranch house, not a 2-story house like we were told earlier, but it's got a 1,200 to 1,500 square foot ranch home there now, and they want to put a 6,000 square foot building on this residential lot in the middle of all of our neighborhoods. I'm going to read something really quick that I sent to you guys earlier. I would like to please take notice that we reside in the area of 2345 North French Road and strongly oppose the construction of a 6,500 square foot structure in or around our residential homes. The address of 2345 North French Road is zoned residential and should not be considered for a commercial structure of this magnitude alongside of our residential homes, because we, the people who reside here, appreciate the homes we have, and this is only going to depreciate what we have now. This type of structure will selfishly change the character of our neighborhood. It'll increase traffic, increase noise. It'll create many concerns and for us and for the neighbors that I'm speaking for. We have a lot of children walking up and down Hopkins Road, and this traffic that this monstrosity is going to create in that area is we can't even fathom what it's going to cause. There are many vacant commercial properties around the area that can be utilized for a project of this magnitude. There's Benderson Development properties, vacant commercial properties on Millersport Highway. There's vacant properties back on Cross Point, vacant commercial properties. There's vacant land on Transit Road. that you can build anything you want with the property you got. There's more land. You can do anything you want out there. To bring a monstrosity 6,000 square foot structure into a residential neighborhood where we have families and we have kids, and I speak for all the surrounding neighbors who I spoke with, but most of them couldn't come tonight. They got plans for football. My attorney was going to come with me tonight, but he had also had plans tonight. But I tell you what, he's on retainer, and whatever we got to do, we'll be coming together, because we do not want this monstrosity on the corner of Hopkins and North French. This is going to change the character. It's going to be a dangerous situation for children, for people walking up and down these roads. It's going to affect all our neighbors. There's other properties you can put this monstrosity on, not in a residential neighborhood. And I got one more thing I want to add. I did some research myself. This property was bought in 2004 for $100,000. In 2010, it was foreclosed on. But why did the same people end up with that property in 2010 and still own it today? But then they made it as a place of worship in 2010 and haven't paid taxes on that property since then. We pay taxes on our property in the residential area, and we keep up our homes. I'm sorry for speaking loudly, but I'm a little
Thank you.
worked up. All right, I'll stop.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this matter?
I hope everybody heard it.
Just as a reminder, everyone's limited to 3 minutes at this point.
I haven't signed in, but I will.
Okay.
My name is Kathleen Shaw, and my husband and I live adjacent to this property on Hopkins. And I would like to just say, we do echo what has been said by our previous neighbors. We're very, very concerned about this development in our neighborhood. And we just don't know how it's going to affect everything, and we're very concerned about it.
Thank you. And can you just clarify your address?
1965 Hopkins Road.
Thank you very much.
This is a pointer. Is there a pen on this too? Signed in.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this matter?
Hello,
Hello, your name and address, please.
Justin Neal, 2381 North French.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Justin Neal, 2381 North French, three doors down.
Thank you.
Same thing as the other gentleman, poor state of repair on the property. Have had no contact with the people, but other than one time my handicapped daughter went down in their driveway, turned around and was told to get off the property. Traffic is terrible already. I've lived there 28 years. It's terrible already. We bought in a residential area. We don't want commercial either. I have a repair shop, and I know I had one go in next to me, a commercial building, and the traffic was tripled. Totally against it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, hearing is closed. You know what? Thank you. Okay, number 2 is being, the applicant is asked to have that adjourned. Do I need a motion? All right.
Make a motion to adjourn if you're more comfortable.
We can move on to number 3, which is the Park Country Club. Kenneth Ryder is representing them.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Palumbo. I'm with the law firm of Block Longo. I'm here with the Park Club General Manager, Dave Kalikia, and Ken Ryder, who's done all the work on this project. As you indicated, it is a Park Club expansion, somewhat of an expansion, an open-air terrace. I'm going to let Ken go through the PowerPoint, and Dave and I are here if you have any questions of us.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbo.
Good evening, members of the board. Kenneth Ryder, architect with HHL Architects in Buffalo. We're the architect of record and representing Park Country Club. We designed this project at the request of Park Club. The rear terrace of the private club is the subject area. It's only visible from the golf course. And what has happened through the years, through decades of use, it's been covered by awning, 3,980 square feet. There you can see it in the gray behind the clubhouse. Sheridan Drive is at the top of the sheet, and the golf course is directly on the bottom. The terrace has been covered by awning for decades, and the club has requested to make it a hard roof construction, open air terrace. So the roofs are all new construction with support structure down to the existing terrace. And the 4,000 or so square feet is comprised of new concrete flooring with porcelain tile upgrade from standard concrete. The structure is a timber appearance of columns on a stone base that matches the existing on the clubhouse, and paired columns for scale. And then the timbering is painted faux wood, PVC, but to look like wood. And then the roof structure is basically a standing seam copper roof, not unlike the character of the building that has some copper, slate, stone. It's a 1927, not historic, but of historic eligibility with SHPO. We've had SHPO comment on this. They've been very favorable to the design and the way it blends seamlessly in with the clubhouse. And so we're quite pleased. I think Park Club is with the design. In the lower right corner is a rendering, a view from the terrace level. This is the upper terrace. There are some lower terrace and walkway areas, but this is the area immediate to the clubhouse that would also allow for different types of uses. But again, it's been used that way through decades of use. It was covered by awning. This is merely a substitute cover, an improvement with hard construction to cover the terrace so that it can be used more favorably during seasonal use. It doesn't have an enclosure or anything that would allow for it year-round use. So basically the same occupant level of use during the course of the year. And that's about it for the explanation.
Thank you. John, any questions?
No questions.
Quick question. Looking at the color rendering, that's one picture that you provided, and keeping in mind that I'm sure that the club and its members are probably more interested in maintaining character than anybody here, but it does seem to be a little out of place. Is that the copper roof as compared to the current roofing material? And
well, it's a good observation. The copper roof is a very shallow pitch. We're being sensitive to where the eave line is on the building. So it's too shallow of a pitch to put slate there, and we certainly don't want to put a rubber roof there. So the standing seam copper would have been quite typical of a building of its age and type, with slate and copper being prominent materials used for the roofs. The shallowness of the pitch of the roof is why it's copper, and we want that roof to defer to the clubhouse and to not compete with the massive feeling of the clubhouse with stone and brick, and that's why we chose copper with it being open underneath.
well, copper is certainly a very good roofing material. And it's saying that it's so shallow that you'll have to be really far away to be able to even see the roof. You know,
Well, when you're out on the golf course, and I've been a member there for over 40 years, you certainly will see it from out on the golf course because there's an escarpment right there. And I think you'll see more of it than you'd be surprised than not. I think you'd be surprised. It's about 10 feet to the eave line. And so, you know, a person at 6 feet will see upslope on the roof. And what it won't do is it won't creep up onto the roof of the building, which we didn't want to see happen. We wanted to preserve the edge of where the slate currently is at the eave so that this would be slightly beneath it all and really not try to compete with the massive scale of the clubhouse. That's the best explanation I could
thank
give.
you.
You're welcome.
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody here in the audience that wishes to speak on this? Apparently there are none, so the hearing, oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is John Rapp. I live at right on Sheridan, 4936 Sheridan. I also seasonally am employed at Park, so my biggest concern would be the noise. Currently, the awning still open air, so on the weekends or events, there's usually, like say a wedding, there's music until the legal hour of 11 o'clock. And I live right across the street. In my bedroom window, I can see the country club. And say if I work, the next weekend or on the weekend on Sunday, and there's a wedding on a Saturday night, I can't fall asleep until 11 or past 11, and I have to be there the next morning at 5 a.m. That's a real big concern for me, not being able to get enough sleep. And this new plan still being open air. I feel, and a hard roof, the noise I think would amplify even more. So if there's a way to, enclose it during these events, or, agree to a noise level that, isn't disturbing to not only myself, but the neighbors that are even closer, right on the border of the property. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Petitioner want to comment on? Thank you.
I would only say that, Park has been there for so many years and it's been open air all that time. And it's done that way purposely to have that feeling of openness. And we comply with the town's noise ordinance. If there are any complaints, which have been very few over the years, then we address those issues as they come up. But it has not been a problem. Thank you.
All right, the hearing is closed. Next is Benderson Development, the Amherst Development Park expansion, additions, revisions.
Mr. Baglioli, I believe you're up next.
Oh, there he is. Tick, tick, tick.
I'm sorry, I was sitting in the back. Can't see that far. Good evening. James Baglioli. I'm an attorney for Benderson Development, 570 Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, New York. This is our project at 6000 to 6020 North Bailey Avenue. Next slide, please. I know the board's familiar with this site. You issued an approval in February of 2025. We're moving our office headquarters here, both for Delta Sonic and Benderson, including all of our warehousing, research and development, soap manufacturing, everything to this site. The site is under construction. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Was there a different slide, Dan? That's it. So this is the site. Pointer. I'll be quick. This is Delta Sonic's headquarters, Benderson's headquarters office building, and Delta Sonic is taking this entire building for their new facility. This is a pretty simple application. We're adding 3 areas of mezzanine to the existing buildings. One of them is located in the office building. That's about an additional 17,000 square feet. That's for no additional employees. When we're laying out the inside of the offices were so tight, we're going to spread them out, move some upstairs. It doesn't result in any additional parking or any additional people, same amount of people in the building, just adding a mezzanine floor. Then we have 2 mezzanine areas in the warehouse building. That's not for people either. That's just the storage of stuff. So we're storing stuff in the building. Because of the additional square footage, it got kicked to a major site plan. The only other change we're making is we got a variance to add another row of parking against this southern property line. We determined we didn't need the parking, so we're going to leave the green space instead of add parking there. Those are the changes to the site from when the board last saw it. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, then.
Now, my understanding, one building at least, the mezzanine, you're not necessarily going to use as second story space.
We may not, this building is the office. We laid out offices up there, so that's going to be used. We may not be using the mezzanine in this area. We're just adding it at this point.
But in transparency, because you're seeking this, with that approval, of course, you could build it out at any point.
Well, we're seeking approval for it. Yeah, we could build it. Well, while I'm,
You're not saying it's office space, but it could be converted to office space.
yep, and then we would require additional parking, and we have to go back to the town. If we convert to office, we'll have to go back to the town.
Those are the only questions I have.
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you.
All righty. Is there anybody in the audience tonight who wishes to speak on this? Hearing is closed. Item number 5. Adjourned at the request of the applicant. Moving right on. 6, which is 716 Sports Complex, represented by Mr. Hopkins.
Yes, good evening, Chairman O'Rourke and members of the Planning Board. Sean Hopkins on behalf of the applicant. I want to note this is a project that you actually saw in almost identical form last month in connection with the request for relief of zoning conditions. You issued a positive recommendation by unanimous vote. Ultimately, the town board approved that. So we're going to really try and focus tonight on anything that's new. However, if there is any questions about how we've gotten to where we are or the project itself, do feel free to ask. If we go to start right to my slides, Dan. We could just go next. So as you'll recall, and Dr. McGrath is here, Dr. McGrath did a convincing job a month ago giving his vision for this project. Why is he undertaking this project? Why does he care so much about the town of Amherst? Why does he care about people's health? Why does he want to accommodate the broad range of athletic facilities that currently, or athletic activities that currently can't be accommodated in West New York? So we're not going to go over all that, but it is in the presentation. Also members of the project team are Dr. Mark Feinberg, Justin Feinberg, and Madeline Schaus. Justin and Madeline are here. And then we also have members of Labella, Frank Simonelli, a wide range of members of the project team. So if we could then go, Dan, to the site plan slide. A couple more. So I do want to, this plan was not available when we were here last month. This is the floor plan that's been developed. It's included in the engineered set. And you can see the breadth of the scope of activities that we're going to be having here, including, as Dr. McGrath described, that banked NCAA level track, which would be here. Series of multi-sport courts that can be used for basketball, volleyball, pickleball, soccer, and the height of 85 feet. And again, that will actually accommodate those sports at the highest level. So that's part of the justification for the height of 85 feet. As Mr. Ulatowski indicated in the work session, the Zoning Board of Appeals did grant a variance for that during its meeting on Tuesday evening. Next. Now you can go to the floor plan, the site plan, Dan. So in terms of the site plan itself, 21.3 acres in size, it is properly zoned general business district and recreation conservation district, has that 101 feet of frontage of conservation in the front, pursuant to the original gun club rezoning. We are showing one signalized intersection onto Maple Road, which is a county highway, and both domes will have a size of approximately 500 square feet, connected by that 50,000 square foot commercial community facility building. When we were here previously, as you recall, we showed a hotel right here. For now, because we need to make sure this project's successful and move forward, we've removed that. So we've removed it from the plan. It did allow us to increase the number of parking spaces to 524 spaces. At some point in the future, if we're comfortable we have adequate parking, that will probably come back in front of you. I want to acknowledge for the record, and this is in the drafts of the documentation, it will require a completely separate review process, including a public hearing. Next slide. So this was not available. It's a visual simulation of the actual dome building. You can see Maple Road, and you can see CUB there to the back. It's important to note that we did immediately, based on input received from the planning department, upgrade the building material. So all of you have seen these athletic domes. They're typically that stark white color. Some people might view that as being objectionable. So we have updated that to an opaque premium gray and silver exterior finish. It does cost some additional money, but again, it's part of our effort to be responsive to the input that we've received. Next slide. Just want to talk about the conditions that were imposed by the town board. Basically, they eliminated the previous condition that limited the height to 50 feet and also the condition that limited retail establishments to 50,000 square feet. We are still agreeing to the conservation area along the frontage, and we'll show you a landscaping plan we prepared in a minute. All the extensive landscaping and screening we'll be providing there. Next slide. Next slide. It is also important to note that when you think about the town of Amherst or any municipality, this project will have tremendous positive economic impacts. Not only property taxes, but all the visitors to the area, all the revenue that will be a direct spin-off of this project. Also construction jobs. So this really will have a noticeable economic impact on the town of Amherst, Erie County, and the school district. Next slide. Building code analysis. I do want to know early we received a comment from the building department questioning whether this is a permitted structure. The Labella team has confirmed, based on applicable sections in the New York State Building Code, that it is permitted. Next slide. This is the original elevation for the domes. At that point, we're at 100 feet. Next. And we reduced it down to 85 feet. 85 feet was not some arbitrary number. That is the minimum height for these domes that we need for them to be functionally, meaning to be able to undertake the broad range of athletic activities that we're proposing, we need that height. It's also based on the actual construction of the building as well. Next slide. There's some visual simulations we were asked to prepare. This shows what will occur over time as all those trees and plantings are installed. We'll provide some type of buffer along Maple Road. It's important to note we are 330 feet back from Maple Road with the dome structure itself. The Maple Road right-of-way is approximately another 100 feet. And then there are residences on the other side, but they're a minimum of, I would say, at least 500 feet away from the actual building itself. Next slide. Show you the profile. I do want to note the mean roof height. While the peak is 85 feet, the actual mean roof height is 42 feet 6 inches. And one of the other reasons for that height is because where we are. Obviously, we have inclement weather in Western New York. We have to accommodate snow loads and make sure that obviously snow does not build up on the top portion of the dome. We've seen what occurs when that's not handled properly. Next slide. We also wanted to note there are many athletic domes in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey that exceed that permitted height of 65 feet. So this is not an uncommon occurrence. And we've taken a look at each of these. None of them have the upgraded material that we're proposing. Again, the opaque silver gray finish. Next slide. Just showing the paddock dome. Next slide. We were asked to provide some visual simulations, which we've included in the presentation. So you can see the existing view here. This is heading east on Maple Road, and then you can actually see the structure in the background here. See a little bit more detail in a second. Next slide. That's again heading that same direction. Obviously, this is the gun club site today. And this is what it'll look like over time as that landscaping and trees mature. Next. It's a view looking to the west from the highway department / golf course property. And again, you can see the existing view, and then you can see in the background a portion of the dome structures. Next slide. So we have made numerous submissions to the planning department in connection with this project. We do want to thank the planning department staff and other town departments. They've been very responsive and very collaborative. there will be a whole host of conditions that we'll need to satisfy. We are also in discussions with various stakeholders, including the town and UB, about providing off-site parking during peak demand periods when we have bigger events. So far, those discussions have been fruitful. Next slide. This is a letter of intent that was actually issued by UB, dated November 10th, that I received yesterday. And basically what they're saying is, yeah, we will work with you, we haven't determined the specifics, to accommodate off-site parking during peak periods. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have enough parking. The town wants to make sure we have enough parking. There are no options, obviously, for street side parking along Maple Road. So that's a work in progress. Those discussions will continue. Ultimately, Mr. Ulatowski will have to confirm that he's okay with the alternative parking analysis. Next slide. Updated overall landscape plan. I was going to put the entire planting schedule, but there's just simply too much information. This provides very extensive plantings on all 4 sides of the project site, with an emphasis on that 101 feet along Maple Road in that conservation area. So that conservation area will finally come to fruition. If you drive by the site now, you don't know it's there. There's really no vegetation whatsoever, but now we'll finally be planting those trees and other plantings to provide that visual buffer. Next slide. Overall lighting plan, important to note there will be dark sky compliant lighting, and most importantly, no lighting spillover onto the adjoining property owners. If you actually look at the lighting levels here, basically the lighting will not even extend into the conservation area at the spillover. So we will not have adverse lighting impacts. Next slide. Fire access plan for Mr. Raphael. So we have worked with the town in terms of Appendix D of the fire code. We're showing a gated emergency access drive here, and we've added the required access aisle and signage to that plan. Ultimately, that will require final approval of the town's fire safety division, but we have made those changes. Next slide. This project quite clearly is consistent with the comprehensive plan. If you look at figure 6, and I've drawn an arrow there, it is designated as appropriate for commercial mixed use. That designation has been in place now for approximately 17 years. It is properly zoned. It's clearly consistent with the town's economic goals, the town's health and wellness goals. And if you look at the site plan criteria specified 8-7-7 of the zoning code, basically to a large degree, your decision should be made on whether it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, which it is. In connection with your review last month, you did issue detailed findings that you thought it was in support of the comprehensive plan, and those same findings apply this evening. Next slide. Seeker, I'm going to touch on very, very briefly. Most importantly, the town board has already issued a negative declaration during its meeting on November 10th. You've been provided with extensive documentation demonstrating this project will not result in any potentially significant adverse environmental impacts. Next slide. And that includes the fact that, number one, this was formerly a contaminated brownfield. It has been cleaned up. One of the key aspects of this project in terms of timing is if we can complete this project by May of 2027, we will be eligible for the brownfield credits. We don't want those to burn off. Next slide. Traffic, we've provided a detailed traffic study. There's been meetings between Labella and the Erie County Department of Public Works, which has jurisdiction over Maple Road. And there have been some preliminary comments from DOT. We'll continue to address those. Next slide. Wetland impacts. So the DEC did come back and take the position that they believe there's jurisdictional wetlands on the site. We will be seeking a wetland permit. I do want to note, because that takes some time, we are asking this board to impose a condition that would allow us to disturb non-wetland areas prior to that permit being issued. It's absolutely essential, and during the work session, that particular condition was discussed. Next slide. Stormwater management system, we provided engineered plans demonstrating we comply with the requirements, including the need for the system to handle a 100-year storm event. We also, I also do want to note, there was a meeting just yesterday with the DEC's wetland contractor, Arcadia, so we're going to be pursuing that wetland permit as soon as possible in an effort to try and expeditiously obtain that permit. Next slide. Next slide. So we were asked to provide a mitigation plan. This is conceptual and conceptual only, has not yet been approved by the town. But directly next door on Audubon Golf Course, there are some very large upland areas of sizes of 4.6 and 6.6 acres that could accommodate wetland mitigation. So I want to make it clear there's an option directly next door. The specifics of that would have to be worked out with the town, but we think the DEC will view that very favorably. I also want to note, and all of you have driven by this site, while there may be some wetlands on the site, they're of marginal value at best. And think about it, when this site was remediated pursuant to the contamination, all of that area was disturbed. So these are not resources that have existed in time or that provide any ecological value whatsoever. They happen to fall within the new definition of a wetland. Next slide. In terms of everything else, I think we've confirmed. I do want to note we'll have to demonstrate that we have downstream sewer capacity. That analysis is underway. And in summary, I think we've demonstrated this project will not result in any potentially significant adverse environmental impacts. So what we're asking you to do this evening is issue a negative declaration and approve the site plan subject to conditions. And of course, myself and the members of the project team welcome the opportunity to address any questions that any of you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins.
Yeah, I have a question. Does 716 Sports Complex have any sustainability goals or a mission for this project? I'm curious to what the power requirements are for this facility.
Dave, do you have any? Yeah, we're just simply not there yet.
Okay.
But I don't think it's extraordinary. And obviously, given where we are in Maple Road, we're quite comfortable there's capacity in the electrical infrastructure.
Are you thinking about putting any electrical car chargers in the parking lots?
I assume, yes, we will be.
Are you looking at energy efficiency for the buildings, like LED lights, heat pumps?
Come on up, Dave. Just come on. Dave Johnson is from Lobella, so I want to have him take a shot at that.
Once we get final approval from the board.
Just for the record, identify yourself.
Sure. Dave Johnson from Labella Associates. Thank you. Once we get final approval from the board, our architecture team will then take over and start going into the building design portions of it. Yes, they will be doing energy efficiency as part of that. I don't know what that is yet. I'm sure LED lighting is, well, that's pretty much what all lighting is now. So they will be using that throughout. I know the site lighting, part of this process, is all LED lighting. So it's all downlight, it's all LED, high efficiency lighting. So I know that is the case. As far as the building goes, again, we are moving into that after site plan approval to go into the full design on the building. So right now, all we have for that building design is for what you see for site plan approval.
And you still have to remediate that property somewhat, because from what I understand, I could be wrong, there might be lead still in the ground from the bullets?
No, so the remediation is complete. A certificate of completion was issued by the DEC in 2012. So that's all been completed.
Right, that's all satisfied.
But you haven't done the application to the utility yet?
No.
Correct. Right.
We've done some preliminary due diligence. We're just simply not there.
So you don't even know if the power exists?
Well, we're comfortable that we think that it'll all need to be verified. You know, you need to always verify, once you get past this point, water capacity, sewer capacity, electrical infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bob Steeler from Labella also. I've been working a little bit closer with our electrical engineers on the design. During our due diligence process, we did verify that there's suitable electricity in the area. And the current plan is to tap off the poles on the south side of Maple Road into a transformer located about in the middle of our site, just south of the parking area, and bring that power into the building there. And then from there, all of our interior MEP design will be subject to the new building energy code, which is heavy on sustainability.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like some residents might not appreciate the membrane look of this structure, presumably at a cost savings, obviously, to 716. Has there been any consideration given to putting up some type of facade to accompany Maple Road, not necessarily physically attached to the structure, but so it doesn't look like two large marshmallows landed in Amherst?
I mean, like an 80, the problem is the height, of course. Think about it, it's 85 feet.
Right, but if it's like a singular wall that's put up that is not necessarily attached to the structure, you could still have the exact same facility you are proposing, but that it is more aesthetically pleasing to the residents.
Yeah, the cost of that unfortunately would just render this economically feasible. We did present the Zoning Board of Appeals with a detailed construction analysis where we looked at using a non-fabric dome structure, and the structure, the cost of it, it was only going to be 35 feet tall, so we would be able to accommodate everything, was twice as much, literally a $100 million project versus a $50 million project.
What about, is there any consideration to a singular wall?
No, I think we're better off with the landscaping along the front edge.
So no consideration has ever been given to that?
No. I just know, you know, we want to, first of all, be able to see these buildings, and second of all, I just think that would be an awkward appearance. I appreciate your comment.
But I think seeing it might be some of the issues that residents have, is that this is not necessarily something that is aesthetically pleasing for that particular area.
Well, to date, again, residents may be here, but during the previous meetings, there have been a couple residents. I've actually had the opportunity to have follow-up discussions with a couple of them. And a couple of them on the opposite side said, we'd much rather prefer this than what was originally proposed. So let's see if people comment. But to a large degree, I also want to note, unlike many projects or any other project, there's been an overwhelming amount of community support for this project. And that's not determinative, but, you know, I think it's relevant.
Well, I think the project itself is a good idea. It's just the proposed plan might not be the best.
And again, I think the upgraded silver gray material being opaque is
I do
greatly
appreciate
going to
that.
reduce the impact. And that is not a cheap improvement. And that's why you don't see that. I've never seen that used before, actually. Maybe it has, but not any of the ones I've seen.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
I think I heard you say that your target completion date is May 2027. Is that right?
So our brownfield credits, that's the date that they would expire. So the goal would be to have as much, if not the entire project, done by that date. It's a very aggressive schedule, but it's what we'd like to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to make note that I will be abstaining from voting due to my company's relationship with client.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so that's our questions. Is there anybody from the audience who wishes to address this matter?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jason Bibler. I live at 231 Walton Drive in Amherst. I serve as the head indoor and outdoor track and field coach at Amherst High School. I also serve as the boys Section 6 indoor track and field chairperson. So within those roles that I serve, my constituents that I represent are extremely interested in this project, extremely supportive of this project. If this project does not go forth, we could have upwards of 2,000 student athletes throughout Western New York that may no longer have an opportunity to pursue their interests and grow as young men and women in the sport of track and field, because there is no other facility like this within approximately, I don't know, about 80 miles. For all of our indoor track and field meets, we travel all the way down to Houghton, New York. The facility that we use there is extremely nice. It was paid for and built by the Pagulas, and that's the type of facility that this is. This is a unique facility. It serves the most unique individuals, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome opportunity for all of Western New York, let alone the town of Amherst. We are fully supportive of this project, and we please encourage you to move forward with it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin Craddock. I live at 11 Lancelot Court, Gettsville. I'm the head track and field coach at Williamsville North, also the other chairperson for indoor track, and I'm the outdoor track chairperson as well. Since I've been competing as an athlete and a coach and moved into coaching, Western New York has always been at a disadvantage when it comes to competition in track and field. We used to compete at Fredonia, 160 dilapidated track. They upped their prices. We no longer can compete there. We only get 3 or 4 dates a year at Buff State, which is the closest facility, but also 160 meter, not a very fast track. We have very talented athletes in Western New York. Sometimes we have to travel we're traveling to Houghton every weekend, an hour and a half there, hour and a half back, 3 hours a day just on travel time alone. This is all of Western New York, not just our team in Amherst. Every year, everybody's always wondering when the next indoor track's going to come. Everybody's excited when we heard this project. It's definitely going to change just the structure of indoor track in Western New York, but also give kids opportunities and safer opportunities of not traveling. I know we live in Amherst, but there's teams from Lockport traveling 2 hours and 15 minutes just to get to Houghton. This would be a nice centralized facility. They're trying to host, if they can host the state meet, you can bring a lot of people to Western New York. And I just hope that there's whatever concerns that you guys have doesn't sideline an opportunity for our student athletes and more. USATF, we have Paralympians in the audience tonight. This is a place for them to train, compete, and continue to grow. Everybody in Western New York is super excited for this if it can move forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Donald Lawrence, 22 Coolidge Avenue in Lockport, New York. I currently serve as the USA Track and Field President of Niagara Association, which is Syracuse, the Binghamton, the Jamestown, and up to Niagara Falls, including Amherst. So we're responsible for championships through track and field, but also I serve on the U.S. Executive Committee of USA Track and Field, and we are looking for sites for the USA Masters Track and Field Championships as well as Youth Championships, which you've heard before that Staten Island is the only 200-meter bank track, which would be a requirement. So therefore, lots and lots of visitors coming to Western New York, seeing what this product could potentially be. And as a U.S. race walk coach, many times we utilize these types of facilities for training camps and learning opportunities for kids 12 months a year. So it isn't just a winter activity. Thank you. Please support the project.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kevin McCormick, and I live at 27 Fox Chase Court, East Amherst, New York, 14051. I'm here representing the Amherst Soccer Association, where I have the honor of serving on the board. I'm also a coach and a father of 2 players, 9 and 12, with Amherst Soccer. And really here on behalf of the association, just to express our full support for this project. We have the honor of working with thousands of players and families throughout really 12 months a year. Soccer is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States. We hope to continue to grow our programming. One of the pillars of our programming is our travel soccer program, where we have over 500 young athletes proudly representing the town of Amherst. And those teams are really formed, the culture, the development, the practice from November through April. And during that time, space is incredibly hard to come by. And what you do find could be a drive, it could not be the greatest quality. So we really view this project as a game changer for this community, something that everyone would be proud of and give an enormous opportunity for our young athletes. So I appreciate this board's consideration, and also just want to, on behalf of the association, thank the project team for such an incredibly ambitious project that really is putting our community first. So thank you.
Thank you. If there are other people who want to talk, can you please line up, queue up
Good
behind?
evening. My name is Sonia Robinson. I live at 133 Bassett Road, Williamsville, 14221. I am a basically lifelong resident of Williamsville. I went to Williamsville East, ran track there, went to Mizzou, ran track there, ran internationally. I now coach, and I'm also the Niagara Association Youth Chair. You all have been commenting on like the facility, but I can tell you, as a coach of a Paralympic gold medalist, world record holder, this facility is more than just a sports complex. From what I understand, they are planning on having medical, PT, like all the things you would need when we go out to Colorado Springs. We go to Colorado Springs at least 2 or 3 times a year for altitude training. The reason why we go there, we have everything we need in one stop. If you want to draw in pros and NCAA level competition, this is the perfect facility to do it. It's literally one-stop shop. And so the other part of this is, in being youth chair, younger athletes need a place to train and develop and grow. And what this facility would do would allow us to have younger athletes competing, you know, in competitions, and they don't have to travel to Long Island or New York City or Boston to compete indoors. And that would be just such a strategic advantage for them, and competitive advantage and experience, that they don't have to leave home, so to speak, to get really good competition in really good facilities. So I would really urge you to consider passing and giving your approval, because this facility absolutely will be a game changer for all of Western New York, and if not, the entire Northeast. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Julie Stein. I live on Heritage Road East. I am a board member of Amherst Girls Softball League, which is right next door. First, I want to say, in no way are we, as a board, we do support this. We think it's a great facility. Our concern is just how close it's going to be to our softball fields. We already have a drainage issue, and we can't really tell from the drawing how exactly close everything's going to be. That's our only concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, could you sign? Can you sign? Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Brian McGrath. Business is at 4225 Genesee Street. I am the petitioner. Just to answer the question about the aesthetic appeal for everybody across the street from what is going to be really a game changer in Western New York for both sports and health. This is not just a sports complex. We're actually trying to help people with diabetes, mental health issues, and everything that is positively affected by some level of exercise, which you can't do in Western New York for nearly 8 months out of the year because it's either too slippery or too cold or too windy to be able to do those types of things outside. So we're actually supplying something for the betterment of all of us, not just the athletes. To answer the question about the wall, have we considered it? We've tried to consider everything. When you change this building to a structure that is bricks and mortar, the cost of it becomes about $150 million. Totally not supportable. We tried to do this project public, private, and then just private. And we pivoted every time over the last 2 years to get to something that is affordable and that we could actually get done with private funds, because we're never going to get it done publicly. Just won't happen. This is toxic land. It was clean in 2012. And it has been a wasteland since 2012, since it's been cleaned. Multiple projects have come up, multiple projects have failed, to meet anybody's standards on this, and most of it has been some level of a commercialized mall. And originally it was people being blocked by ACC, so people didn't put more student housing in this property. So how do we make this aesthetically pleasing for the neighbors? Talking to the planning board, we pushed it back. So we're almost 500 feet from anybody's house. They live on, this is Maple Road, and it is a 4-lane highway. And we've done everything we can to, one, move it as far back on the property as possible, and then put up basically an aesthetically pleasing tree wall. The cost of a wall that is going to be safe and supportable is over $5 million. And the question would be, how high would we need to build it to be able to make it so that now you don't see these buildings, then that would have to be 25 feet or more. And now you have to have supporting structures to able to support that type of wall. The cost, one, is quite high, and we can't afford to do that within our project budget. It just would basically, wipe out everything we're doing here. And secondly, it is not as aesthetically pleasing as a tree wall that we're planting out there and a 101-foot buffer that we're keeping there, for the townspeople and those people traveling on Maple Road or living on the other side. So simply, I think we're doing everything we can, and we will do everything we can going forward to try and make ourselves become really good neighbors, but we're also trying to support the health of all the people around it as well.
Is the tree wall mature trees, or are you just planting saplings for the time being?
We'll plant, not just saplings, but there's not going to be a full mature tree that's 25 feet high in the very beginning, nor will there be shrubs that'll be that high. It will have to grow in over time. But we're also building berms, so it's going to be higher than, the current ground level on that 101 feet. So we are, I promise you, we will do everything we can to make this as aesthetically pleasing as can, including changing the materials from something that's white to something that is more pleasing, and it's set back 330 feet, a football field length.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, is there anybody else from the audience that wishes to comment on this? Seeing no comments, I'll close the hearing. Okay. Next, we move to request to rezone Eric Bennett, 95 Snowberry Lane. We are recommendation only to the town board, but this is the public's opportunity to come and make the first comment. So,
yep, thank you. So my name is Eric Bennett. I'm here representing myself, rezoning 95 Snowberry Lane. Just to you guys understand where the location is. So this is over by off New Road and just south of Smith, essentially at the end of where the 990 is. So it's about a 1 acre parcel. Is outlined there in yellow. The north, south, east, and west side of it are all single family residential. Next slide. Actually, return that one real sec. Just want to make a quick comment too. This is a 1 acre parcel. You can see the 3 houses across the street, just to the north of it. That would be normally put into this essentially 1 acre parcel if it was zoned back when this residential area was already built up. There has been proposals for other builders to buy this lot and essentially put 4 houses there. Luckily, the homeowner who lives at 75 Snowberry, the Jacobs family, has declined that, and they have chosen not to sell it to a builder. So that's why I'm representing myself, essentially to purchase this lot and split it myself. Next slide. Next slide. So this is a proposal of what I plan on splitting it into 2 half-acre lots, Lot A, Lot B. Lot A is where I plan on building my house essentially and moving my family up from South Florida. Lot B, I plan on either selling to the builder or putting it up for sale for anyone else to purchase. Next slide. That was it. All right. Yeah, so in conclusion, essentially, again, pretty much we plan on building a 3,300 square foot house on Lot A, as I described. Essentially, it's going to fit the existing neighborhood. It's going to be mainly siding. And it's essentially, we're trying to bring in some of the new builds. Also, just to note that the Natali neighborhood is directly behind it. So those are all brand new homes behind it. We're going to try and bring some of that aesthetics into the existing neighborhood and essentially kind of upgrade and refresh the neighborhood a little bit as well. This is going to essentially increase taxes revenue for the town of Amherst and also increase home values in the existing neighborhood. So, thank you. Any further questions?
thank you.
No questions.
What approximate square footage did you mention the house would be?
3,300.
3,300.
Yes.
About the same for both.
I'm sorry?
About the same for both houses?
Yes.
Thank you.
No questions.
All righty then. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Moving right along to item number 8, which is the Town of Amherst zoning code text amendment to the Urban Renewal Overlay District. And we, again, are recommendation only to the town board.
That's correct, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Chuck Malcolm. I'm an attorney with the law firm Hodgson Russ, and we serve as special counsel to the town on the Boulevard Mall redevelopment project. Also with me is Lori Stillwell from the town. What we're asking the board to do tonight is to recommend approval of a proposed local law which establishes a framework for an overlay district for the Boulevard Mall properties in what's already been designated by the town board as an urban renewal area. And in addition, that local law does a couple of things. The first is it sets forth the framework for the use of an overlay district, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But it also designates the particular area that's up there highlighted in yellow as the urban renewal district overlay number 1. What an overlay district is designed to accomplish is to sit over top of the base zoning districts. If you can go back to the prior slide. It sits over the base zoning districts, which are currently zoned Center 8, 5, and 2.5. And an overlay district, depending on what the text of the law says, and we'll get into that a little bit, is it can add certain requirements, it can restrict development in certain ways, or it can allow for different procedures to be used, and to allow relaxation of certain restrictions that may be an impediment to redevelopment. The land affected is approximately 68.7 acres. Next slide. This local law draft kind of goes back to the town's planning efforts to deal with the Boulevard Mall. There's multiple things that have been going on. There's been multiple items on the town board agenda to deal with this. And this board specifically participated in the development of the urban renewal plan for this particular area. And the urban renewal plan specifically notes that there may be a need to utilize zoning power to provide some flexibility to facilitate redevelopment in a certain way where there's certain impediments that have been identified, and to provide flexibility in the review and approval of certain development projects. The proposed urban renewal overlay district law supersedes some requirements of the base zoning districts were indicated. In certain circumstances, it provides stricter relief. In others, it provides actual relaxation of certain standards to improve flexibility. Next slide. So the goals of the law as currently constituted, planning staff and looking at the mall's revitalization, the current code identified certain provisions of the law that are restrictive and may be an impediment to development. And with that, Lori is going to discuss what those are and how the overlay district and its requirements modify some of the items that are in the base zoning district regulations. Lori.
Thank you. Next slide. So into the law itself, procedurally, the overlay varies very little from how the town's existing development review procedures and planning board authorities work now. There are a few deviations, and these include the planning board may consider the urban renewal plan in addition to the comprehensive plan when rendering decisions. And also for modifications to previously approved major site plans, they're subject to revised thresholds that would trigger a major modification that would come before the planning board. So these instances include a 10% change in the total number of residential units, or adding more than 25,000 square feet within the entire proposed development. I also want to point out that the planning board will remain the body to review and render decisions on projects falling under major site plan review, and all our existing procedurals existing in code now will also remain the same. So that means the same standard public hearings, notices, and ability to refer, etc. Next slide. So getting into the design elements of the overlay, the first one addresses base zoning flexibility. So on the graphic up there, the purple is Center 8 of the 5A mixed use district. The light green is Center 5, meaning that, and the number corresponds to the height elements of that code. And Center 2.5 is that kind of yellowish color. So that's the current underlying zoning of the mall properties. So the overlay will provide the developer the option to apply either these underlying mixed-use zoning districts as they exist on the ground now, or utilize shopping center district as the base zoning applicable to the site. So essentially, when the planning department compared what is allowed under the 5A code currently, in addition to shopping center, and some instances of prior developments in and around town that tried to utilize 5A center district zoning, we determined that there were some complications and elements of 5A that together create really prescriptive elements that we should address and provide relief for. And we feel that both the shopping center districts and the mixed-use districts can provide the goals we're trying to meet as part of the urban renewal plan. So one of the main elements here is base zoning flexibility. Next slide. So on the core street framework, there will be two main core streets that are required to subdivide the site into an initial block structure and provide adequate utility connections. So we will be bringing in utilities that come down from Maple and that north-south streetscape. But this is essentially what we are dictating. Further block subdivision requirements are relaxed, and that allows for phased, flexible infill development over time. Now, it's anticipated that the development in this area is going to bring in additional streets. What we're really doing is not prescribing exactly where their streets need to go in code. So we're not telling people exactly where they must put breakup streets. We're leaving that up to the developer to decide. And currently our 5A districts are pretty prescriptive in that manner. So next slide. So for street dimensions, our street dimensional standards are reduced to create a more intimate pedestrian scale streetscape and allow for potential future connections of drive aisles into formal local streets. So this shift is really due to the constraints of the geography. Ideally, we would like to be able to fit more density and infill onto the site, but it is landlocked, Grayfield, and it has its limitations. Next slide. The overlay creates a new frontage type. It's called boulevard frontage. So this frontage type was derived from a version of 5A's current minor and major arterial frontage types. And it will be mandated along Niagara Falls Boulevard, Maple Road, and Alberta Drive, regardless of the underlying district chosen. So if you go back to the slide before, this is depicted, one more. So the green outline of the property site mandates the boulevard frontage be used in those areas. Can you skip back ahead? So the boulevard frontage allows for 2 rows of teaser parking between the building facade and the streetscape. And next slide. So our intention here is really to ramp up the density and intensity of buildings towards the inner geography of the site in those core streets we have depicted. And the idea here is that we'll have smaller gateway style buildings along the outer edges and transition into that height and intensity and scale from the outer surrounding neighborhoods near the site. Next slide. For parking standards, the overlay removes off-street parking minimums and provides a 2-story height bonus for projects that include structured parking. So if you can prove that you can park it with structured parking, you can get additional height bonus. Also, the reason we're kind of looking to relax our parking minimums is because the urban renewal plan is looking to create this site as a transit-oriented development. And we hope over the 20 to 30-year build-out, we'll eventually reach that point. But initially, we are relaxing minimum parking standards. And they are a constraint in attracting significant infill. So that is our desire here with the parking amendments. For permitted and prohibited uses, land uses that are inconsistent with the goals of the urban renewal plan, such as single-family detached and vehicular sales, are prohibited. And drive-through facilities are restricted to areas along the frontages of Niagara Falls Boulevard and Maple Road. Next slide. So this one is a bit jargony and difficult to explain. Currently, in our 5A center districts, primary streets are established by a road class, and together with the Build 2 requirements, that Build 2 zone, how's this work? There it is. So the Build 2 zone, which is this little area up here, with the hold the corner provisions, they essentially tell a developer exactly where you must place your building and start building on a site. And then which edges of the block face you have to build out to meet your percentage build to along that entire property line. So this is quite prescriptive, and it also tends to lead, we find that it tends to lead to a certain scale of building project that a developer might not be ready for in an initial phase. So we're looking to relax that. So the major shift here in the overlay places these decisions back in the hands of the developer to identify the primary street, which is more in line with supporting the phased redevelopment we expect and financial viability of development projects. Next slide. For open space standards, we have publicly owned open space may count towards the percentage of required open space with planning board approval. So you can consider whether or not to award planning board public open space towards a specific project near the site. Currently, the 5A requirement is 5%. 5% of the site needs to be open space. Temporary minor commercial uses, such as kiosks or food stands, are permitted to activate public spaces. We want to create functional, active park space in and around the development, so this is something we're bringing in and allowing that typically isn't allowed now. And then the requirement for open space to be contiguous is removed. So we're comfortable having little pocket parks in certain locations and smaller areas. We are not forcing a developer to put their full maximum contribution of open space all together in one spot. For the overlay also encourages it, but it does not prescribe the things listed here. So vertical mixed uses along public spaces, pedestrian walkways and multi-use trails, mobility infrastructure, cohesive architectural design to establish a consistent neighborhood identity, and inclusion of active uses within open space such as sport courts, dog parks, playgrounds, etc. Next slide. So once, when we sent out the law for public review and noticed everything, we did actually receive some requests to change from the attorney's office. So I just want to bring these to the attention of the board and ask that these are also considered this evening. There are 4 items. The first one includes correcting the reference for pedestrian walkway size to meet the National Accessibility Code. The code is changing as of January 1, so our preference is to reference the National Accessibility Code document rather than an actual dimensional standard in the code. We're also adding Alberta Drive to section 6B4D to make sure that the text corresponds with figure 1 of the key streets and frontages plan. And then another one is revising the allocation of open space provision to reflect that this can be conducted with planning board or town board approval. So this change, I think as mentioned before, reflects existing agreements the town board has made and may consider in the disposition of property for redevelopment. Next slide. The last request coming out of the attorney's office deals with the build to zone again. So in cases where there's irregular rights of way can create a dramatic shift in how the property lines up. So the requested language is, in cases where the right of way creates an irregular property line, build to maximums of the boulevard frontage type may be increased to preserve contiguous alignment of building facades and circulation aisles along the streetscape of larger blocks, with limitations that there will be no more than 2 rows of parking and a drive aisle. So this addition provides flexibility for developers where these irregular lot lines exist. And one of the examples we have here is kind of the biggest one, is there's a 40 feet difference with the turning lanes of Niagara Falls Boulevard onto Maple Road. And so the idea here is that buildings that front with that boulevard frontage maintain a consistent streetscape facade setback, and then also the drive aisles line up for ease of circulation in the site. Next slide. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Chuck just to finish us off.
Thanks, Lori. This draft that's in front of the board tonight for a recommendation to the town board is the result of a long process and planning effort that really began with the urban renewal process and actually even earlier during the review of the Boulevard Central District area overall. Right at the beginning of the urban renewal plan process, it was noted that there were issues with the existing zoning that needed to be addressed. And I think the first time, and in the plan that this board looked at and supported, it has that exact goal and recommendation in there to deal with those issues. We've been at this a while with this law, as was noted. I think the first time we were in front of this board on a draft was January 2024. We got the board's feedback. We incorporated that, but the planning department's really done a fantastic job working really hard on these issues to try and address some of the things that we think are the impediments to redevelopment at this site. And with that, Lori and I are happy to answer any questions the board has.
Thank you. I stayed awake the entire time.
I appreciate the transition into heights, obviously, and now with this amendment, we're going to allow for 2 additional stories. So considering that, what is the maximum stories that would be permitted in this overlay, considering all the districts that are at play?
Dan, can you go back to the zoning slide? It's early on. Right there. Okay, so Center 8, that is 8 stories. If they bring in a structured parking, so a parking ramp, they would be able to go up to Center 10, but that is, again, with planning board approval. So for 5, obviously 7, and 2.5 would be 4.5.
So 10.
10 where Center 8 exists. But that's JCPenney's, and this is the former Macy Men's.
And has there been any analysis that would support that a 10-story structure in the middle of the boulevard would be productive for Amherst?
We feel we've had conversations with the larger development community. I know there will be land that'll be RFP'd as part of land coming back to the Amherst Development Corp. There is a desire for a certain amount of height. We are seeing, we're paying attention to what's happening around the regional market. Traditionally, we're not seeing above 8 stories. However, I can't say that you wouldn't see that given the way the financial markets are working right now. There is a level of scale and density that's necessary to cash flow. But again, that's a pretty tight area to add it, go up to 10 stories and then also fit a parking structure.
That's all the questions I had.
Thank you.
No questions.
Would underground parking be permitted?
I'm going to have to pass that over to the other planners. All the overlay addresses is the need for off-street parking.
Underground would be allowed, sir.
And tell me what the size of that purple, again,
So this is, it's currently zoned Center 8. So if a developer comes in and chooses to maintain the underlying zoning as Center 8 mixed use, in order for them to get to 10 stories, they'd have to ask the planning board permission and go to 10 stories.
what's the size of that?
Oh, geez. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
About 4 acres? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody from the audience who wishes to address this? Okay, I close that hearing. I believe that closes the public hearing. 9 and 10 are both, neither of which are public hearings.
We want to take a quick break. I know this kickoff, 2-minute break.
Be my suggestion. I'll call it a 2-minute break and expect everybody will be back here at 5 to 8.
5-minute bio break.
But I'll get over it.
What was that?
Bill cell? The pregame bill starting right now? Okay, cool.
I'm my employer. Arc bid.
Stole one of your
Texas time, Mr. Chairman. Ted?
I stole one of you.
No, that's okay. Here,
No, you have two of them. No, that's not mine. I don't know.
what's mine is mine. Best candy bar ever made.
Well, I mentioned in the meeting, I mentioned I recused myself. Oh. Didn't say a word. I got you. I understand.
Mentally provoked.
It's a little rusty.
Well, when I read the agenda, our Field and Partners wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, you're,
I work for.
I mentioned in the meeting and
Kenny, Regents still open? Yes. I think. I know. Still are. No. I don't have one anymore. No. No, my back. Train wreck. It's the best candy bar ever made. Yes, I do. Of course I do. Alrighty then. We are ready to deliberate.
Thank you.
And Scott is here to read all the conditions. So we will start at the beginning. First item, which is the proposed place of worship at 2345 North French Road. Looking for a,
I'd move to approve the grant of house of worship.
we got to do seeker first.
I'd move to approve the seeker.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so it's
Second.
okay, we have a motion on the neg deck with a second. And roll call, please.
Davis.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Manverchi.
Yes.
Raphael.
Okay. Sidewalk waiver is next.
I'd move to approve, considering it's a house of worship with all the conditions previously proposed with, in addition to that,
Time out. There's a
Oh,
sidewalk
I'm sorry,
waiver.
we're on the
Petitioner's requesting a sidewalk waiver as part of this.
I forgot about the sidewalk waiver, I apologize.
On both roadways.
I'm not moving to approve the sidewalk waiver.
Okay.
Move to approve the sidewalk.
I'll second it.
Davis,
Yes.
Yes.
Penberthy,
No.
Raphael.
No.
Okay. Now we are on site plan review.
Well, that's
It fails.
a failed motion. So the next motion would have to be either to not deny it or adjourn the decision.
Okay. All right, so tell me what our options are on the sidewalk waiver.
Somebody can, right, somebody can make a motion to deny and get a second. Or somebody can make a motion to adjourn decision on the sidewalk waiver.
I would make a motion to deny the sidewalk waiver.
Second?
Davis,
Yes.
A yes vote is to deny?
Correct.
I'll vote yes.
Penberthy,
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries on the sidewalk waiver.
Being denied.
Being denied.
Yes.
All righty,
Okay.
then. Site plan review.
Now we're up to,
I apologize. I will make a motion to approve the site plan as proposed, considering this is a house of worship, with the additional condition being that there be some consideration giving to the lighting that abuts the residential lots, such as a
well, how about they,
light circuit,
turn them off when not in use?
or something to that effect, correct?
Yeah.
Second.
Davis,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Penberthy,
Yes.
Raphael.
No.
Okay, motion not pass.
I make a motion to table this to our next meeting.
Adjourn it, adjourn decision technically.
Adjourning.
Adjourn decision would be
Right,
the
I'm sorry, is
proper
that what I
motion.
said? Oh, adjourn. I apologize. Sorry.
Second.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
John.
John Davis.
Davis,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Okay, then.
At least we don't have to read them all.
Number two, I believe we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
And that would be to the next meeting, correct?
To the next meeting, correct?
Davis,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn, it's successful. Now we are at our country club.
Move to approve the seeker.
Second.
Davis,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, approval on the neg deck, now site plan.
I'd move to approve the site plan with the additional condition as proposed that the applicant respect the recommendations of SHPA relative to the placement of the roof against the building.
Well, let me read the first three.
Yeah, he's got
And the other three conditions, basically, this approval doesn't include signage. Any other mechanical equipment, meter boards, stuff of that nature, since we don't know where utility companies will put them, is screened, and that as-built record drawings are provided. once they're done. That would be the 4 conditions, basically. Consider the recommendations of SHPO for attachment of the new structure to the existing building.
Second that motion?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Okay. Plan passes, and now we go to Amherst Development.
Where was I?
Site plan? Site plan.
Just site plan.
Site plan for the country club. Correct. Secret.
This is just site plan. There's no seeker on this because this is within the Boulevard Central District for which an EIS was prepared and finding statements adopted.
Got it.
Okay, this is site plan review only.
Their motion?
Waiting for one.
Motion to close the public hearing?
No, no. Is anyone going to put the public
We have
hearing?
a motion
closed?
to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the site plan.
With conditions.
Is there a second?
I think you both moved to approve it, so one of you.
Second. Your motion.
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
You want the conditions?
Yeah, we should have read the conditions first.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same first 3 again. The signs, mechanical equipment screening, as-built. The concerns relating to chip generation of the Amherst Traffic Safety Board. Letter dated October 9th, 2025 be addressed to the satisfaction of that board. Number 5, the concerns raised by the zoning enforcement officer and planning department staff in the planning department letter dated November 14th, 2025 be addressed to the satisfaction of that board. That the concerns raised by the town of Amherst stormwater management officer in their letter dated November 4th, 2025 be addressed. Concerns raised by the town of Amherst engineering department, sanitary division, letter dated October 31st, 2025 be addressed. The concerns of the Amherst engineering department services division, letter dated November 3rd, 2025 be addressed.
Should we have a revote to make sure? Because my vote was only for the conditions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Motion to approve with conditions?
Second?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Item number 5, we need a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
To the next meeting?
Thank you.
Second?
Roll call.
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
All right, we're going to 716 Sports Complex. I believe is next. And we're looking for a,
We have a number of conditions for whoever wishes to make a motion.
well, got to do seeker first.
Secret resort.
Move to the negative deck on the seeker.
Move to issue a negative declaration.
Second. Second.
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Okay, neg deck passes, and now we're on site plan review
With conditions?
with conditions,
The file-
including,
I'll read the conditions if you desire. Condition number 1, that the consideration of signs is specifically excluded from this approval as they require separate review and approval by the town. Condition number 2, that all dumpsters, trash containers, and all mechanical equipment, utility structures, etc., shall be screened. Number 3, that as-built surveys shall be provided to the Engineering and Building Department prior to the issuance of certificates of occupancy. Condition 4, the building must comply with Section 510 of the 2020 New York State Fire Code for emergency responder radio coverage, as indicated in the Building Department letter dated November 12th of 2025. Condition 5, that any and all concerns of the Amherst Fire Chiefs Association be addressed to their satisfaction. Condition number 6, that any off-site traffic improvements necessary but not limited to the proposed traffic signal be installed by the petitioner at their expense and is directed by Erie County Department of Public Works Division or New York State DOT as applicable. Condition number 7, that any and all concerns of the town's stormwater management officer be addressed to her satisfaction. Condition number 8, that any and all concerns for the town of Amherst Engineering Department, Engineering Services Divisions be addressed prior to the issuance of plumbing permits or certificates of occupancy as applicable. Condition number 9, that any and all concerns of the town of Amherst Engineering Department Sanitary Division be addressed to the satisfaction of that division. Condition number 10, that the concerns of the town of Amherst Traffic Safety Board's letter dated November 6th and subsequent letter dated November 17th be addressed to the satisfaction of that board. That any required wetland permit be obtained, this is condition number 11, that any required wetland permit be obtained from New York State DC and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as may be applicable prior to the disturbance of the New York State informational wetlands identified on the premises. Number 12, that the subject parcel be split as approved by the town assessor. Number 13, that the concerns for the zoning enforcement officer and planning department in their letter dated November 14th, 2025 be addressed to their satisfaction. Condition number 14, that the petitioner acquire the property prior to the issuance of an approved site plan drawing set by the Town of Amherst Planning Department or issuance for any building permits by the Town of Amherst Building Department. Condition number 15, that the disturbance of non-wetland areas on the site is permitted in accordance with town code with the approval of the town's stormwater management officer. And those are the conditions which were provided to this board previously.
I'll move to approve the site plan with the conditions just announced.
I would like to add a condition, please. The petitioner is proposing today, as opposed to last month, they're using a superior product as a materials for the construction of the structure, and he would like to have the condition that they will use the products as they have mentioned here, unless they come back for approval again.
So the condition is that they use the superior product they indicated they plan to use?
Yes.
For clarification, that means the non-white fabric that is traditionally used. We want the darker color fabric that was presented, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Could we just confirm with petitioner or applicant's counsel or applicant that that's okay?
For the record, just so you know, it's already in the zoning board's minutes and in their approval.
But yes, that's fine in terms of the upgraded material, in terms of the silver finish.
Thank you.
I approve that additional condition.
So he's moved with your additional condition. Are you going to second?
Second.
I have a question. I just want to make sure that 11 and 15 are not counter to each other.
15 would allow for the clearing of non-wetland areas.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to make sure that the language has been, because this, I believe, is the petitioner's language, and I want to make sure that we don't run.
So I can read number 15 again for you, if that's helpful.
No, I just want to make sure that the planning department is comfortable with 11 and 15 both being in there, that one is not negating the other. If you tell me that you don't think so, then I'm good.
We're comfortable with it. We are affirming that they cannot disturb the state informational wetlands without a permit. They may clear non-wetland areas pursuant to town code and with the permission of the town stormwater management officer.
Okay, I think the informational wetlands was what was causing me some questions, but that satisfies me. Thank you.
There's a motion, a second, roll call.
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we're a recommendation of the town board.
I'd move to recommend.
Second?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Good luck.
Back here.
Number 8, I'd move to recommend.
Second?
Would that be with the amendments requested by the attorney's office
Of course.
for the pedestrian walkway, surface parking, built to maximum, and the approval authority?
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, I was moving with that.
Second?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Okay, number 9 is the site plan review, proposed final plat.
There's one recommended condition. That they obtain any required permits from Erie County DPW, Highways Divisions for work within the Dodge Road right away.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the site plan?
Second?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
And,
That's it. Director's.
no, there's a 10.
10.
Yeah. There's a 10.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Number
You're
10,
right. I
please.
You apologize to me for it.
This, there's one condition on the final plat that we recommend, that the easements, once filed with Erie County, are provided to the planning department. They can't record the easements till they file a plat.
Mhm.
Right.
Is someone moving?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill.
Yes. Yes.
Penberthy.
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
Where am I?
Motion to watch football, adjourn?
No, director's report.
No, direct.
None?
Nice try.
I think additionally, as unfinished business, we should recognize the contributions Mr. Davis has made to the board
Wonderful.
the last 2 years. We're going to miss him terribly. And we do congratulate you as well.
Yes, congratulations on your victory. Thank you for everything you've done here,
Do even better now.
even though I wasn't here for most of it. The part that I was here has been excellent. So thank you very much. Go ahead.
And the Bills are up 6-0.
With that, I'll motion to adjourn. We don't need a motion to adjourn? Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I second.
Second?
Davis.
Yes.
Gill. O'Rourke. Penberthy.
Yes.
Yes. Go Bills.
That's Amy's folder. You don't give that back to her?
That's his folder.